Hello everyone, welcome to For His Namesake. We are glad that you've joined us. I'm Martina and this is my daughter Valentine, for those of you who are new and just happen to be coming to the channel and don't know who we are. And thank you for those who keep coming back. We appreciate each and every one of you. And today we're going to be talking about a subject matter that is maybe kind of like brushed under the carpet because people don't want to talk about it. And we're not here to talk about, we've had some, I think we've had several people on our channel that are dealing with this particular ailment, or illness rather, and we're not doing it so that we can talk about you. It's really a very important topic to discuss, and it seems to be running rampant around the world, and that is the big C word, cancer. It's in my family, it's in my husband's family. I've had friends have it and die from it, and I thought it was just here in the United States, dumb bunny me, but it's all over the world. Now, Valentine's going to share something interesting about the world, who is more susceptible to having cancer, which I thought was interesting, what she came up with.
Well, worldwide, cancer is among the leading cause of death, and the rates are highest in countries whose populations have highest life expectancies, education level, and standard of living. So basically, the better off you are, there's a higher chance of you getting cancer, which I thought was very, very strange. And it's the opposite for those who are in the lower,
like poverty levels, they probably don't have cancer.
Except for cervical cancer, they say. Then that's the opposite for some reason.
Yeah. And then my notes that I came up with, that goes hand in hand with what she was talking about. Interestingly enough, China has globally has the largest number of cancer cases, followed by the United States, and then India, of all places. I'm getting chills about that because, to me, Indian people are predominantly vegetarians, I would think. I mean, yes, there's some that eat meat, but it's predominantly vegetarian. They seem to look very healthy. There's quite a few Indian people that live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've seen them there, and they're all nice and slim for the most part. There may be a few heavy-set people, but nothing really to gawk at. I mean, they eat healthy vegetables and just, curries, and that would be the chicken curry, that, the meat that they would be eating. But overall, I mean, they eat very healthy that I know of. And we've eaten Indian food before, and it's very healthy. I just, like, wow, I'm eating healthy today because I had Indian food. So that was very surprising. And then I was just now wanting to find out what type of cancer that would be, and my son, I think I shared this with you before, my son recently, when I say recently, this was this year, in January, went to India to spend some time there because he's always wanted to go to India, and he was surprised at the pollution that was going on there. It was so bad, he couldn't breathe. There was one time where he almost fainted. I thought he was going to die. And somebody had to rush him to their house and take care of him, and
he had to move cities.
Right, he had to get out of that particular city that was really bad, and some cities are worse than others. Of course, the larger and the more congested and the more trafficky a particular city is, the more pollution there is. And plus, he said everybody is smoking, and they're not just smoking regular cigarettes, they're smoking like really, really strong smelling cigarettes, and it causes a lot of smoke everywhere. And so I got to thinking, I bet it's lung cancer that's predominant in India. And another interesting fact I just found out, among women, it's breast cancer, followed by cervical cancer, followed by ovarian cancer. With men, it's lung cancer first, and it did mention because of the smoking, but also it mentioned pollution. And then the second one was prostate cancer and colon cancer. So, but I would have never thought India, of all places. I mean, wow. And of course, I never thought China either, because in China, they're all nice and healthy looking too. My goodness. I've never seen a fat Chinese person. I just haven't. I'm sorry. And I've been around the world and back. I've never seen a fat Chinese person. They all look very healthy. So I don't know. I didn't look up what kind of cancer is going on there. But let's name off some more facts. This video is going to be kind of like our old videos where we had a lot of research. It's not, I mean, not a lot of research, but some research, because we had to make sure we got the facts right. We don't want to give you falsehoods. So did you have some more facts, or we want to just kind of throw them out like popcorn?
We might even have the same sort of facts. So did you want me to mention the estimation?
Go ahead,
okay.
yeah.
And I looked up our website. It's called NCI, or National Cancer Institute. So it's mainly talking about the states, but I'm sure you can find the same sort of similar resources in your own country. But this is where I got my facts in. So in 2025, in the U.S., they predicted or estimated that 2,041,910 cases of cancer will be diagnosed this year.
Isn't that awful?
That's men, women, children. That's how many people.
That's awful. And I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of the video that, to me, it seems like it's taking over the world, second after terrorism and wars. I would say wars and terrorism are kind of together, because it's basically the same thing, and that seems to be taking over the world. I mean, there's stuff going on all over the world regarding that, but I would say cancer is right in line after that. I can't say that statistically, I didn't find that out, but and back in my day, when I was a little girl growing up, back in the 60s and 70s, cancer was just kind of like I wouldn't say rare, but it was just not talked much about, or maybe people were hush-hush about it. And when we heard about someone having cancer, we'd have to do some more research on that. And what is that? What's melanoma? What kind of cancer is that? And it seemed like it was rare, not rare, but it just seemed like it wasn't talked about much. But now, cancer is running rampant everywhere. I can't believe how many families are affected by cancer. At least one has cancer, and usually it seems to run in families, so it's kind of handed down from one generation to another, it seems. It's just awful. It's very sad. This is when I kind of question God. I know we're not supposed to question God because we are the clay and He is the potter, but I'm sorry, I just can't help myself. This is when I ask God, what's the message you're trying to get across to people? Is this a punishment? Is this a wake-up call? You want your people to come back to you? Or, I mean, what, is this like a plague, in other words? I mean, I have so many what, where, whom's questions, and I haven't received any answers to that. He's not answering me on that. I guess when we get to heaven, we'll know. But, so, yeah, okay, let's go and give some more facts. Did you have some more facts?
Do you have an
Okay, so I guess another one I would have is that in the United States, breast cancer is the most common cancer diagnosed among women, and prostate cancer among men, which I thought was strange because I would think that colon cancer would be number one in the United States. It just, I don't know, I thought that's what it would be, but apparently not. And then did you have some causes? What could cause cancer? Did you have notes on that?
I didn't look that up. But maybe before we get there, for those who just don't know what really cancer is, we've heard the word, but we just don't know what it actually does. Cancer is a disease in which some of the body's cells grow uncontrollably and spread to other parts of the body. And our body is made up of trillions of cells. And I didn't know this because I was not good in math and biology. I mean, I barely passed, so some of this you might already know, but the body, the cells, they grow, multiply, and then they form new cells. That's a normal thing that it does. But when cells grow old or become damaged, they die, and new cells take their place. Now, if something like doesn't go well in that process, or it grows and multiplies when it's not supposed to grow, multiply just yet, then that's when cells can turn to lumps of tissue, like tumors. That's a lump of tissue. It can be cancerous or benign, but the cells grew when they weren't supposed to grow just yet, and they multiplied rapidly. And yeah, it's a genetic disease when I looked it up.
Wow. I guess we've heard your paternal grandmother, when I was talking about cancer, she said, well, we all have cancer cells in us. I guess that's according to that news that you just found out there, or
I'm sure
fact.
maybe you guys
don't
can tell
know.
me, but we all have cells anyway.
Yeah.
But when it does something it's not supposed to do just yet, then there's a higher chance of it being cancerous.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Then I guess I can go into some of the causes of cancer. Of course, there's still a lot of research being done. What causes cancer, cures for cancer, that kind of thing. But some of the ones that they've already discovered, obviously, would be smoking, which would cause lung cancer. And believe it or not, and sadly, which I can't understand this one, I have read and I have heard that secondhand smoke is worse than someone actually smoking it. And my husband explained that. Maybe he'll put that in the description box, how that is. I can't figure out how someone who's been smoking for years may or may not get lung, I don't have to talk about death, but may or may not get lung cancer, but someone who's been around it, but not necessarily smoking it, they are more susceptible to getting lung cancer than the one who's smoking. If you know the answer to that, please put it down below, because I've never been able to understand that. And in this city where we live in, pretty much everybody smokes. And we're not talking about smokers. I'm just very allergic to it, so when I'm around it, which is all the time, I have a tendency to get asthma, wheezing, breathlessness. I pretty much have to kind of do this, and I know it seems rude, but I'm covering my nose and I'm quickly walking by that person to get to where I need to get, so I'm getting away from them and the smoke. And that's any kind of smoke. It's not necessarily cigarette smoke. There's a lot of people that vape here too, and they're still it's just a brief smoke, but nevertheless, it's smoke. So can't handle that. But smoking is one of them. Another one, it would be alcohol consumption, which I find, I don't know how that, I guess you would get cirrhosis of the liver. I did have someone in my family die of cirrhosis of the liver because pretty much he drank himself to death. But I didn't think that was a cancer, cirrhosis of the liver. I don't know. If you know the answer to that, you can put that down below. Obesity and unhealthy diet. Well, that's me. That's not good. I know. I would be more worried about getting a heart attack or a stroke or something, but I always, like I was telling Valentine, I tell her this all the time. This is my motto. This is my thought in life, is that fat people are more susceptible to getting heart disease, strokes, and the like, whereas skinny people or slim people, people that look good and they're in shape, they're the ones that get cancer. At least that's been my situation in life. I've noticed that. But those are some, and then of course radiation exposure is a big one. I remember back in the day when cancer was still kind of, it wasn't a big thing, and my mom would say to us, hey kids, don't stand near that microwave. You're going to get those radiation exposure, and that'll cause cancer. And we just kind of laughed it off, say, yeah, right, Mom, whatever. We can't see what we're one of the, you know how kids are. They want to see things. So when she would tell us radiation, we'd actually look for the rays. We're like, where are the rays? Anyway, so we didn't believe her. Or she, one time she saw me with myself when I was back in the day when I was actually in shape and jogging or fast walking. I'd have, back in the day when you had your flip phones, I'd have my flip phone in like a necktie pouch thing by my chest here, and she'd say, oh no, Martina, don't do that, you're gonna get cancer. And I thought, what? And so, those were the days when you're just thinking, what? But now we know what not to do, right? Or to do. So yeah, those are some of the causes. And of course, as we found out in India, pollution, smog from traffic, and just, I don't know, yeah, burning things maybe that we shouldn't be burning, I don't know.
Some materials that you're not supposed to touch, like, I think people, since there has been more research, like the order, they used to have like aluminum, and some might still do, but they found out, that's going to cause some cancer. So I'm glad that it's being more aware now. There's a lot of companies that are going the clean route, where it's still effective, but more natural ingredients, which is what I use.
Yeah, exactly. Even companies like some of the bigger companies out there, I'm probably not allowed to mention their name. I don't know, YouTube may take it off, but you know what I'm talking about. Some of the bigger companies that sell bath products and body products and things like that. Back in the day, they had anything and everything. The list was a mile long of the ingredients that were in there, but now it's shortened quite a bit, and they're real big on no parabeams, whatever that is. I guess it's some kind of chemical. No, and another word that starts with P.
No.
Something like that. And I'm thinking, wow, that's kudos to them for doing that, for such a big company like that, that they're being bold and taking some of those things out and maybe lose money because people are like, oh, I wanted it to be this way, and now you took out that ingredient, and that was supposed to be, I don't know. But it's still a booming business. They're still doing very well for themselves, so I'm glad that they've gotten rid of those, I guess the word, is it synthetic chemicals? And I don't know what else out of there, like she was mentioning. So the best way to go is if you're going to take a shower is just to get a bar of soap. That'd probably be safest. Shower gels are getting better at taking out some of those things that cause cancer, which is good. And believe it or not, you know, I know that people make fun of the state of California because it is a liberal state and has some other issues with it. But I do like the fact that it seemed like they were one of the first, they were the ones that came up with that list of, it has a list of chemicals that are in various, whether it's in food, whether it's in your cosmetics, whether it's in, you know, whatever, paper or whatever that you're buying, any product that you're buying, it has a list. I'll have to have my husband find it and we'll put it down below. But just, it's a certain name of the list, and that's the list that all the chemicals in this world that cause cancer, that are known to cause cancer. And I think that's fascinating that they came up with that. So kudos to California on that one. But yeah, because then that way you can look at that list and buy an ingredient and look at that list and go, whoops, I'm not buying this because it has this cancer producing chemical in it. If you are, you know, if you care about that. If you don't care about that, well then, you know, buy the product. But yeah, cancer is huge. Did you have any more facts? Because now I'm going to go into some personal
and I would
things.
say that sometimes you probably can't get away from it. There's always going to be some, you know, there's constantly doing research, and what they might think is safe might not be safe years later. So like, don't blame yourself if you were to get it. I mean, there's still some products I'm using like, I wonder if I should or shouldn't I, but not enough research has been done on it. But it's a good thing to keep looking those things up, but not to scare you.
Right.
Just, it's good to
be informative.
Yeah.
I mean, be informed.
Yeah.
Informed is the word I'm looking for. Sorry, my words aren't the best in this world because I also grew up speaking German fluently, so I'm sorry I don't use all the right vocabulary all the time.
And I'm also sorry, but folks, it's hot in here, so I'm
Okay,
gonna turn up.
Okay, so we're gonna have to talk a little
Sorry,
louder now.
folks.
Yeah, it was easier for me to get it on this, so I went ahead and did it for you.
Thank you. Sorry
Yeah.
about that, guys.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I forgot where we were at.
Yeah, just stay informed. It's
Stay
always a good
informed,
thing.
right. And like she said, not to scare you.
Yeah.
And then also when you are grocery shopping, my mother always says, stay away from the center part of the store and shop around the outside, because that's going to be probably mostly natural. Not everything, but mostly, because the inside has all the packaged items and have a whole lot of preservatives in them to make them last for 2 years. I mean, isn't that ridiculous sounding if you think about it? Come on, folks. You look at a box of crackers and it says, you know, here it is 2025, and it says that the crackers are going to last for another 2 years. If you think about it, isn't that ridiculous? I just find that ridiculous. Of course, I'm going to eat the crackers, but but I'm just saying, if you think about it, that's silly. It shouldn't last, but maybe, I don't know, maybe a month, if even that. But for 2 years, so you know that thing is loaded with preservatives to keep it on the shelf that long, right? And then anything that has artificial anything, I will actually look at, you know, I've watched people grocery shop here, and most people do not look at the ingredients. They just grab things off the shelves and put it in their cart. And there may be a few that will actually look and read every single thing in the ingredient, or maybe they already know. Maybe they've already read it at home, and so that they already have it ready to go, and that's probably why they're not looking at it now in the store. But I'm very old school. I don't look at apps. I have to wait till I get to the store and actually look at the item. So I will actually look at the list. If it says artificial anything, I don't get it. Unless it's a color, which is strange. If it says artificial color has been added, I'm thinking, oh, that can't be as bad as flavor, but it's still artificial, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of silly on my part. That's what you call a dumb blonde moment, but I'm not blonde. Anyway, Yeah, so yeah, that would be the thing. Look for your packages that say artificial anything. And if you can't pronounce it, my mother always said, if you can't pronounce whatever it is, then don't buy it, because more than likely that's something that's fake, not real, right? Right. I'm sorry I'm yelling. I just get really passionate about stuff like this.
And something that came to mind, and I thought about before, is well, our grandparents and your grandparents' grandparents used to do. And yes, there was still cancer back then, but not as prevalent as now. They were more careful, except for the smoking, because my grandmother used to say that everyone smoked back in the 30s. They did not know how harmful it was as they do today. So her father did die when she was 14. So
wow, yeah, from that was from chewing tobacco, actually.
Yeah. See, they didn't know that was
mouth
bad
cancer.
either. So
Yeah,
but I was getting somewhere. Oh yeah. They lived on the land, our ancestors, and I would say probably for the most part they were healthier then than people are here today. You know, they got everything fresh. They had their own gardens, and yes, they preserved it in canning, but if you do it the safe way, then it's safe. You don't have to add preservatives. They just made enough to last for the winter, and then that's done. Then you grow your next garden for that year, so it doesn't last for years on and get unhealthy like that. You know, you store it properly, you make it properly. You had your own cow, so you had fresh milk. You didn't have to add things to it. So I'm just thinking how much better it must have been to live that way. That's something that I would like to do. Should the Lord ever grant us the opportunity to live in home? I am scared of bugs and critters, but if God can help me, then yes, I would like to grow a garden and learn how to preserve things in a healthy way.
Yeah, but then I don't mean to put a damper on your cute little thing there, which was, I don't understand why people that came from that good, healthy living off the land, so to speak, how they still got cancer. Because like she was sharing, her paternal, I guess that would be her paternal grandmother's father, he didn't die that way, but he, it's a sad story. We won't tell you how he died, but he had mouth cancer where it made a hole in his cheek. It was awful from chewing tobacco. Then her paternal grandmother had breast cancer and came from that same family of living off the land and preserving the food in a healthy way. So then we ask ourselves, how did they get cancer?
Well, I do know that when she started living on her own, and of course going to the grocery stores, you know, you live on your own. So back in the 80s and 90s, more and more processed items were coming out.
Yeah.
So she did get a lot of Oleo and other, like, hamburger helper.
Crisco is another
So
one. Yeah.
I'm not making fun of my grandmother, but she was buying more and more unhealthy food products instead of what she used to live off of, growing on the land.
Yeah. And then my mother, she was very healthy. She was a professional model back in her day when she was in her 20s, and I would say 20s and maybe early 30s. She was even on commercials, television commercials back in the day. So she was extremely healthy. She ate nothing but healthy foods, nothing artificial whatsoever. She's the one that taught me all about stay away from, you know, artificial things. And she always vowed to herself, I will never get cancer. Well, you know, the term that says never say never, it comes back to haunt you someday. I'm sorry, but it does, even among us Christians. And she said, I'm never going to get cancer. I'm going to do whatever I can to keep myself from getting cancer. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to drink lots of water. I'm just not going to get cancer. And she got breast cancer. Yeah, back, I would say about 10 years ago. We've lost touch, so I don't know how she's doing, but she's still alive because she's still living. But yeah, so she still got cancer, and I thought that was kind of strange for a lady who ate nothing but health foods. But again, like Valentine was saying, it's what we're exposed to. Maybe she did go out to eat a lot at restaurants, and we never know what restaurants are truly feeding us. Maybe their foods have artificial flavoring in it for all we know. I don't know.
And I noticed that my grandmother is a very beautiful woman, but because of that, she did put on a lot of products. And when I was a little girl, I was watching constant makeup, constant, even hand lotions. But they may seem like they're okay, but you just need to look at the labels because they're actually not that good to put on you constantly, like on your face. So.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I remember she would wear a lot of makeup, and then the foundation that goes before the makeup. I've never understood that. Why do you have to have a foundation before you put the makeup on? Just put the blush on, put on some eyeliner, and maybe some lip gloss, and you're good. Or if you have to put lipstick on, great. But if I'm not here to make fun of people that wear makeup, but I'm just saying that the more you cake on, the more you might be inviting synthetic or artificial things into your skin, because it does penetrate through your skin. And there's several books out there where people have, they wrote their own what do you call that, was it called an autobiography, where you write about yourself, or is that called a biography? But they have written their own story about how I know we don't talk about famous actors and singers and everything, but there is one, her name's Suzanne Somers. I actually read through her book, and she had cancer and was just like my mother, very healthy and everything, but she did put on all those used a lot of lotions and makeup and sunscreen and whatever, and she found out that's not the way to go, because she found out that's probably how she got cancer, because she just caked it on high and deep. So yeah, be careful, folks. But like Valentine said, don't feel guilty for something that you did in your past, but do something now in the future. Hell, if you've got kids, do things for your kids. If you, that kind of thing. Or just from this moment forward, change your lifestyle if you haven't already. And I'm talking, we're talking to ourselves here too. I mean, wow, it's scary. But I would like to share on a personal note, just in my own family, real quick. We have a few minutes left to say something. My father had prostate cancer. My mother had breast cancer. My father's two sisters both had breast cancer. One of them had a double mastectomy, and that was awful. It was very sad to watch her go through that. On my mother's side, my mother had cancer, but I don't think anyone else in her family did that I can think of. I don't know that, there was no other cancer except for her, which was strange because she said I would never have cancer. Then I had a very close friend, when I say recent, within the last 5 years, she had, oh goodness me, she had breast cancer, and then she had the double mastectomy done. Then it went to her brain, and she had brain cancer, and then she had the tumor removed. But then it was so far advanced that it went all through her body. Then she had bone cancer, and she was in a lot of pain. Oh my goodness, it was awful. I'm just getting chills talking about it, because she was just in a lot of pain, and she was very weak and would just fall. She'd try to walk and she'd fall. And anyway, she was one of those tough cookies. She didn't want to be in some nursing home or in the hospital. She was a go-getter, and she said, I'm not going to go to hospital. I'm just going to take care of myself right here at my home. And if nobody wants to take care of me, that's fine. I'll take care of myself. She was just one of those people. But she was also my neighbor, and so I would go to her house a lot to visit with her. But it's just so bad that she had to take narcotics. I mean, she was popping pills left and right. And I thought, oh my goodness, that poor lady. Anyway, so that was sad. And then she died just a few months after that in just before COVID. So I'm glad she didn't have to go through COVID. Yeah, because she died that December, actually on my birthday to a T. On December 5th, 2019 is when she passed. But I'm just glad that she's no longer in any pain. That was awful, all that she had to go through. So, and she said that the reason why she had cancer, was because of stress. There's another good one. I bet if you go through an enormous amount of stress, I mean, she had deaths after deaths in her family. Awful things happened. Her son went to Afghanistan or was it Kuwait or one of those places, and it was awful, all the things he had to go through with the wars and stuff. And she said, Martina, I never got any sleep. I was constantly worried about him, whether he's going to come back or not. And she said, I think that's what gave me cancer, me worrying to death about everything. So I don't know, maybe stress coupled with all the artificial things that we put in our body. That's what causes it. And then just one final note I'd like to mention real quick before the timer goes out.
I could push pause and then start again.
Okay.
But maybe I better do that now.
Okay,
So just a minute,
right.
folks.
Okay.
Wait. Okay.
Okay. So, not final, but one more thing I'd like to share we'd like to share rather, is the sad thing about kids. Kids having cancer. I mean, they have hospitals specifically for children that are born with cancer. I find that so sad. To me, I hate to say it's sadder than us adults getting it, but it just seems so unfair. a sweet, innocent little child. I mean, just born with cancer. And, you know, they die like within 10 years. I mean, these days, it seems like they can live a little longer. Maybe they've found out some ways to prolong life.
If you catch it early, that's the best thing.
Right. But like St. Jude's Hospital, I don't know where that is. And then they have the MD Anderson. That's in Houston, Texas. That's for adults. Now, the children one, I don't know if that's also, I know it's in Texas. I just don't know where. It might be in Austin. I'm not sure. I should know that, but I don't. But ways that you can support people that have, or support cancer in itself, of course, number one is pray, right? We can pray for people. If you know people that have cancer, pray for them. And then the other thing is that you can support them. There's marathons, believe it or not, for cancer, like I did a run today for cancer awareness, and then you get a free t-shirt while you're doing it. I think you get a free t-shirt, or you put in your money, and then that money goes to the, helps the cancer thing, but you also get a free t-shirt. And they're always pink. And why that is, I don't know. I'm thinking that's more for breast cancer. But
because I think that now they have different color ribbons. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've seen not just pink ribbons, I've seen other colors too.
Yeah, so we'll have to look into that more. And then you can also, I do the MD Anderson Children's Art Project, and those kids are very, very gifted in art. Let me tell you, oh my goodness, I can never draw that well or paint that well. Usually they'll use watercolors and they'll paint a picture, and then I guess the people that are working there will put that picture on a mug or on a make it a Christmas ornament out of it or whatever. And they are, I mean, I wish I could show it now, but it's back there. But I actually have a canvas bag that I bought from the MD Anderson Children's Art Project, and yeah, it's a little bit on the pricey end. That was when we had money, so don't think anything that I bought it recently, but when we had money, it was $28. It's not cheap, and they have the cards that you can buy. They usually sell them at different like grocery stores. It has its own little like a kiosk, and it'll have all the different Christmas, usually around Christmas time, I want to say. And then what I like about that is that it'll have the picture that one of the children drew, and then on the back or the front it'll give the name of the child, and then on the back it'll tell you a little bit about the child. You know, how old they are, where they're located, you know, how they came there, what kind of cancer they have. So yeah, it's very interesting. So that would be a way to support, you know, cancer awareness, cancer, people involved in cancer, people who have cancer. People have died of cancer. I mean, my goodness. Oh, and then I would like to say that there's one cancer that does not, how do I say, it resists the common ways of prolonging life expectancy, and that is pancreatic cancer. Now, we've all heard of the really aggressive kinds, like the melanoma and the skin cancer. There's another one that starts with M, I think, and those are aggressive and they go real quick, and those are scary. But that if you catch it in time, like Valentine was mentioning, then that you can prolong your life expectancy by, I don't know how many years. I'm not God, and it's really up to God, but you know, they kind of have an estimate of how long you'll be, you know, living after you go through chemo, after you go through radiation, and after you go through surgery, or a combination of all three. But pancreatic cancer, unfortunately, those don't help. Chemo doesn't help. Radiation, surgery. And then usually, unfortunately, because the pancreas is located in kind of a difficult place, it's not easy to get to. Apparently, I read that. I did not know that until I read it. And so therefore it's not found early enough, and when it is found, and then you have the symptoms of cancer, of that whatever that cancer brings, but then it's usually too late. It's already very advanced. So that's the sad part. And then I'm sorry, I'm just a very curious person. I'm like this child, and I ask God again, why pancreatic cancer? Are you, you know, I mean, I know I shouldn't ask, but I'm blunt. You know me, I'm blunt. So I'm going to tell you, I ask God questions like, pancreatic cancer. Okay, so are you like punishing this person because of something they did? Because just recently, well, not recently, it was probably about a year ago, a famous Christian person died of pancreatic cancer, and it came on suddenly like all pancreatic cancers do, but he had done something terrible. He had sinned greatly. Of course, you know, he had asked God for forgiveness, and, you know, God, of course, forgives, but he still got the spanking. I felt like he still got the spanking for it, and the spanking was pancreatic cancer. I could be wrong. I'm not God, and I'm not here to judge, but I like to think a lot. I'm one of those that likes to analyze things and think, well, I wonder if this happened because of that, and I don't know. But that is a interesting cancer, pancreatic cancer, that you cannot help. And a lot of those people, I have known several people with pancreatic cancer, will go to Mexico because nothing else works here in the United States, and they think that Mexico, which I think usually Mexico, I've heard there are some good results for other illnesses that you have, that you can find a cure for whatever you're going through, but not with cancer. Not really. I mean, you may live a little longer, maybe a few weeks longer, but still, you know, I just feel like, you know, God's in control of that. That's why we believe in God's sovereignty. But then I ask God, why pancreatic cancer? So anyway, something to think on. You don't have to ask God the question because I've done it for you. You've heard of those reviews for things, and people, like a movie, for example. You don't have to watch this movie because I've already done it for you. So the same with this. You don't have to ask God about why pancreatic cancer, God, of all cancers, because I've already done it for you. Okay, we had to end up on a happy note because this was a very serious, kind of like a solemn discussion. I'm sorry, you know, but it's a topic that needs to be discussed, and there are still research going on. And if I had the brains, believe me, that would be one thing I would love to do, is work in a laboratory, like be one of those scientists that's trying to figure out what, you know, like cures for cancer. I would love to do something like that, but I don't have the brains. So
now, I did want to mention other ways that you can support besides just giving money, which is always a good thing if you're blessed with money. Even if you don't have a lot of money, you can still give a little bit of something. But especially if you know someone personally, like maybe in your church or community, give them a meal, maybe.
Yeah.
Of course, always go see what they can take, because if they're like on a certain treatment plan and they can't have certain foods, always ask first. Don't just assume that they can eat everything that you can give them.
right.
But maybe their family members, like maybe the dad and the kids, they can eat something separate than the mom, for instance, and you can make something separate for the mom, which she can have. So always ask, always be respectful.
Right.
Don't pry. I would also say don't pry too much. Like, don't say, did you try this? That they're doing what they can do. Okay, so, but it's always good to ask first, like, that you know yourself. Like, may I ask about your treatment plan? May I ask? Just may you ask first.
Right. Yeah.
And I was going to say something else. Oh yes, if you were able to, I noticed that sometimes when we used to go to church, there would be these bulletin boards like, so-and-so needs to get to her next appointment. Can someone take her? Apparently this person didn't have a ride. Ask if you can be the ride. If you're able to. Maybe you're single and you don't have the responsibilities to take care of kids. Apparently these people need some rides. Maybe they're too sick to drive.
Yeah.
So that would be another good way to help. It's to take them to and from their appointments.
Yeah. Those are good ones. Right.
And for those who are going through cancer, and even those who aren't, maybe you're just in another trial, I've recommended this book before, so I'm going to ask my dad to link the book in the description box below. It's called In the Hands of a Fiercely Tender God by Colleen Chow. I just checked, she's still alive, praise God, but she does have terminal cancer. And she wrote this book, I want to say maybe a year or two ago. And it's not all about cancer. They're very short chapters that just talk about the trials that she's gone through, including cancer. But it encouraged me, and I don't have that sort of illness, but it still encouraged me in my walk with the Lord. So I do encourage you to read that if you can. You can find it on Amazon.
Yes. And did you have a Bible scripture to share with everyone? Because we always include that.
Yes. So either you're a caretaker or you yourself are experiencing cancer. Here's some verses that might comfort you. This is from Psalm 9 through 10. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And those who know your name will put their trust in you. For you, Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. So remember what I said, if you are a Christian, you're not condemned. Yes, because we live in a world of sin, we're going to face the consequences of sin. Because Adam and Eve sinned, we're gonna get the illnesses, we're gonna get the trials. But God has not forsaken us. He does love us. And there was another psalm I written down, I think it was Psalm 18:6. In my distress I called upon the Lord and cried out to my God. He heard my voice from his temple, and my cry came before him even to his ears. So continue to cry out to him, continue to talk to him. You can, ask the tough questions like my mom did, like why this, why. Just continue to reach out, because it does say that he does hear your prayers.
Yeah.
And there's lots of others you can read from Isaiah 41:10. I think it says the Lord will hold on to you. And then there's that beautiful passage from Romans 8:37-39. Who can separate us from the love of God? And it mentions like can sicknesses take me from the love of God? Can trials? Can pestilence? And it says no, nothing can separate us from the love of God. So just hold on to that promise.
And hopefully Daddy can remember to put, just at least write them out, like whatever you found that from, Psalm whatever, and just so that you can go back and look at those yourself as well again. Yeah. Okay, well, we hope that you've found this informative, and especially if you didn't know much about cancer, but it's out there, and it seems to be all over the world. It's not just here in the United States. And strangely, like Valentine shared, in countries that seem to be thriving well in more areas than one, which is interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And then those who are stricken with like severe poverty, for example, they don't have that. It's almost like luxury equals cancer. I wonder if that's an interesting saying.
But we'll say,
I don't know.
The poverty ones, they get the other things. They get starvation.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
AIDS and stuff like that.
Right.
So they have their own. But cancer, is more in the
It seems like
middle class, I guess you could say.
That is very interesting. Yeah.
It is.
So, on that note, we will just say, if you are in that situation and you want to share, you can share in the comments, or you can always send us an email at Valentine knows the address.
For his namesake 106@gmail.com. Now, we've had several people say that they've tried to email us and they just can't reach us. Make sure that when you're doing for his name's sake, it's 2 S's, not 1. It's not for his name's sake, it's for his name's sake. And there's no
apostrophe on there when you do the email address part of it, right?
2 S's.
Yeah. So you're always welcome to send us an email, and Valentine always answers back. But we all look at me, my husband, and Valentine.
I always read it
the
to
email because it's to all of us, unless you specifically say, I want this to be just for Valentine or just for me, for example. Then of course we will respect that. But we're usually a team, so it usually goes to all of us. And if you want to share in the comments and you want to say, like, I have so-and-so cancer, that's fine too, because we can all learn from each other. I feel like,
or maybe you're a caretaker,
right? Or we can encourage each other. We can pray for each other. Don't go at it alone. If you're on your own completely and you have no family left, that has got to be tough. Yeah, no family, no friends, nothing, and you're just all on your own. Please reach out to us. We would love to be that family to you. You don't have to worry about us being there physically with you. If you're one of those that wants to be maybe you want to be alone, I don't know. But I would think that most people want someone, at least someone they can talk to, or even write something to, or type something to. And of course, there's always God. You can always reach out to God, like she was saying, and pray, talk to Him. And so, yeah. And we hope that you've at least learned something new that you didn't know before. And, so thank you for watching. And Valentine's last famous words are...
we would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe and click that notification bell. Make sure it says all when you click the bell, because apparently there's different ways to go about that bell. I wish that YouTube would make it simpler. Just click the bell and you're done. But no, you have to click all personalized. So we would appreciate if you do that so that you can stick around for, Lord willing, future videos.
Yes.
And we hope and pray that you have a blessed day.
Yes. Bye-bye.